Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is great. Last week, I read to you a poem from my teenage poetry collection that I was super embarrassed by, did not want to read out loud, but I did it anyway. And I'm glad I did because it's one of those it's one of those moments in time where you go, well, this is who I was. This is not who I am, and like putting it out into the world makes it less embarrassing. I think it's still embarrassing, but it's not. Um, it's not. It's no longer something to be ashamed of. I think that's the word. But anyway, so I read you a poem out of here, and I was going to read another one today. I thought about reading another one today. I don't think I am, but I got a question from Scott, who he talked about analyzing poetry. His comment is bigger than this question, but the question is relating to me reading this poem was, how do you feel and what do you remember when you look back at your old writing? Serious question. He put that in there to let us know he was serious about it. And what I can tell you is there's this supposedly smell is one of those senses that has the greatest recall for us as humans. Like you'll recall smells around certain events in your life. For some people, also music does that. Like hearing a song that you listen to during a particular time in your life will re-trigger those emotions or have some sort of reaction. That's this. Oddly, like reading these poems, I can kind of go right back there and feel what I was feeling as I was writing this. I can remember it. I can remember the details. I can't necessarily remember the date and the weather, and I'm not one of those people, but I can remember why I wrote this, what I found here. Um, this all feels current. Reading this, and these are emotions, feelings, thoughts, people. There's poems in here about people that I haven't thought about in 30 years, almost. Um, but on this page, when I'm reading this, I can tell you. I can tell you what was going through me. I can tell you where I was in life as I wrote this. I can tell other things too by the handwriting. There's some of these that were written just kind of just raw, like in the moment, just getting something out of my head, and my handwriting reflects that. It's surprising though. I think everybody is aware that as we age, we kind of lose touch with some of our memories, and um, you start to kind of try to remember things from your past, and you have a difficult time doing that. It's surprising how much I could recall of my emotional states, of my what was going on in my head and in my world at that time. It was very surprising at how much of that I could recall just from reading a few little poems. Um, so yeah, that's a good question because I hadn't thought about it. I mean, I think I said when I read it that I can remember this especially this series of, there's like 3 or 4 poems in here that are all about angels dying and whatever. I was very much inspired by Nine Inch Nails by Trent Reznor. Um, but here's the thing. So these poems, these almost lyrics, right? Especially the slam stuff. I can tell you a lot about my life when I was writing some of these things. Um, they're more lyrical or whatever. Here is, on the other hand, one of my old pocket notebooks. This is something that I carried for years and years and years and years of my life, and all kinds of stuff went in here. There are part numbers in here for looking stuff up from work. There are phone numbers in here of people. I don't know who that person is. There are just notes, but there's also, here is June 28th. I went to work, got a lot done, gave a birthday list to somebody, need to get it sent to my sister. My kid didn't sleep through the night that night. Got excited that MacGyver was coming out on DVD. So whatever year MacGyver was coming out on DVD, this was that June 18th. Had a poker night. So I used to host a poker night at my house every Tuesday. So June 18th, or January 18th. Maybe this is June. No, this is January. So this must have been a Tuesday, I think. I think it was Tuesday nights. Should start early with some new players. Yeah. So I could read these entries. This is very similar to the kind of more poignant stuff that I'm writing in my little booklet these days. January 21st, so 3 days later, my ex lost her job, is distraught, whatever. Here's the interesting thing. This stuff, these entries, I don't have recall around this. This is like little day by day. Here's what I did today. Monday at work should be interesting. Bonnie no longer works at Mitsubishi, so I have to give someone up. Oh, so yeah, and I forget her name. There was a redheaded girl that ended up going up there and taking over. So I was working at University Motors in this time. So this would have been, I was the parts manager, and I had a baby. So this would have been 2003? Wait, hold on. January 2004. This would have been 2004, so 20 years ago. The body shop manager, Jeff Vrabel, told me to bring in my corroded typewriter stuff, and he would gold plate it. That'd be cool. I have this book, these kinds of things, this kind of, here's February 28th, 05. Last day of the month, and it's Monday. Went to the game Saturday. I don't know what game. Good game. We lost. I don't know what game I'm talking about there. The guys looked worn out. Played really sloppy in the third. Oh, it must have been hockey. So this was 05. I was probably going to see the Wheeling Nailers play. Yeah. So these types of things, these little day-to-day, something I'm still doing today, little day-to-day entries, no recall whatsoever. I can't tell you how I was feeling that day. I can't tell you anything. But this poetry, these lyrics, essentially, these are like smells. They're just like memories written in time through verse. And reading it is my recall of what I was feeling, what was going on in my life at that time, who I was at that time, what my room looked like. All that stuff that like I haven't thought about in 30 years comes flooding back when I read this. And that's really interesting to me. It's really interesting to have kind of records of who I once was. Most of this I think this is the only one of these old books I have, and there's only like just sporadic entries in here about, it's very, over half of this book is not full. I used to have a bunch of these. I had tons of these spiral notebooks with poetry in it. I had tons of I had all kinds of journals that I've written in over the years. Most of it is lost to time, or I've thrown it away and just decided it wasn't important to me anymore. So it's weird that I have these, but it's great to be able to see, these two things. So this was 05 or 04, and this was 95. So this is 10 years apart. And the kind of emotional, angsty, weird teen versus the kind of matured person that this represents. But it really isn't. I wasn't this yet. This was kind of I can tell you this was kind of false. Like, I wasn't this introspective. I was trying to be. I wasn't this emotionally mature. I think I am now. But I've been emotionally stunted my whole life. It's taken me a very long time to figure out how to be emotionally available for people, and that's, I think, obvious when I look through these things. But yeah, thank you for the question, Scott. I really had to kind of reflect on it and think about it for a little bit before I made this. So, what do you got going on today? Anything exciting? Today is a day off. I have today off. Just kind of hanging out. Gonna try to finish Red Dead. I think I'm almost done with it. I'm on like the last little bit, so I might just try to blow through it tonight and see if I can get it done and get back to reading, because the current book I'm reading is pretty interesting. Got any questions, comments, topics? Put them in the description or the comments. Yeah, you know what to do. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is verse libre, a noun meaning free verse, a style of poetry requiring no rhyme or meter. H.L. Mencken observed that verse libre is a device for making poetry easier to write and harder to read. Verse libre, V-E-R-S space L-I-B-R-E. I would argue that's what I write today. That I didn't know there was a term for it. I'm going to have to put that in the book that I'm working on, because my poetry today is, there is no structure. And it very rarely rhymes. Sometimes there are sections that rhyme, others that don't. So yeah, verse libre. I like that.